You've tried to change. More than once. You've done the work. You've read the books. You've been to therapy. And you understand, intellectually, where it comes from. But then something happens. A look. A tone of voice. A moment that shouldn't matter. And suddenly, you're not here anymore. You're somewhere else. Somewhere much older. That reaction, the one that keeps showing up no matter what you do, has a name. It's called a generational wound. And today, you're going to see exactly where it lives, how it got there, and why it keeps running your life without your permission. Stay with me. Before we talk about what's happening in your life right now, we need to go back. Not just to your childhood. Further. Every family carries something invisible. A way of responding to pain. A pattern of relating to love. A particular kind of silence when certain things happen. These patterns don't announce themselves. They don't come with labels or explanations. They simply become the water you swim in. So familiar, so constant, that you stop being able to see them. Your grandmother didn't tell your mother, "I am going to pass you my fear of abandonment." Your father didn't sit you down and say, "Here is the wound I received from my father, and now I am giving it to you." It doesn't work that way. It works through atmosphere, through what was modeled, through what was never said, and what was said too loudly, through the emotional rules that governed your house, through who was allowed to feel what and who wasn't. And here is what makes this so important to understand. You absorbed all of it before you had language to describe it, before you had the capacity to evaluate it or choose differently. Your nervous system simply recorded it as, "This is how the world works." Researchers in the field of epigenetics have found something remarkable. Trauma, significant, unresolved emotional trauma, doesn't just affect the person who experienced it. It leaves biological markers that can be passed to the next generation. This isn't metaphor. This is cellular. The children and grandchildren of people who experienced severe trauma show measurable physiological responses, changes in stress hormones, nervous system reactivity, even genetic expression, that mirror the original traumatic experience. What this means is profound. The wound you are carrying may not have originated with you. You may have inherited not just your grandmother's eyes or your father's sense of humor, but their unresolved pain. And that pain, traveling through generations, arrives in your body as anxiety without a clear source, as reactions that feel disproportionate, as patterns in your relationships that you can trace back, if you look carefully enough, through at least 3 generations of your family. This is not destiny. This is not something you are condemned to repeat forever. But you cannot heal what you cannot see. The generational wound shows up in 3 primary ways. And when you hear these, I want you to notice which one resonates most in your own life. The first is relational patterns, the way you attach to people. Whether you tend toward anxious attachment, always monitoring for signs of abandonment, always needing more reassurance than you feel comfortable asking for, or avoidant attachment, keeping emotional distance, equating closeness with danger, pulling away precisely when someone gets too near. These patterns were not random choices. They were adaptations. Intelligent, appropriate adaptations to the emotional environment of your early years. The problem is that your nervous system never got the update that the environment has changed. The second way the wound appears is through the body. Chronic tension in specific areas. Digestive issues that have no medical explanation. A persistent sense of unease that arrives without warning. The body keeps the score, and the score includes not just your own history, but your family's. The third is through your relationship with yourself. The quality of your inner voice. Whether you fundamentally believe you are enough, or whether there is a low-level hum of not enoughness that colors everything, your work, your relationships, your capacity to receive love. Where do you recognize yourself? Here is something most therapeutic approaches get wrong. They treat the generational wound as a cognitive problem, as if understanding where the pattern came from is sufficient to change it. It isn't. Understanding is necessary, but it is not sufficient, because the wound doesn't live in your thoughts. It lives in your nervous system, in your body's automatic responses, in the activation that happens before your thinking mind has had a single coherent thought. You can understand, with perfect intellectual clarity, that your fear of abandonment comes from an emotionally unavailable parent, and still feel the same crushing anxiety when someone you love doesn't respond to your message quickly enough. The understanding doesn't reach the place where the wound actually lives. What reaches that place is different. It is somatic work, practices that speak directly to the nervous system. It is the slow accumulation of new relational experiences that contradict the original learning. It is the body, not the mind, having a different experience, and gradually, over time, updating its conclusions. This is why healing takes the time it takes, not because you are slow or broken, but because you are trying to change something that was written at the cellular level before you had words. So what do you actually do with this? The first step is not a technique. It is a shift in how you see yourself. Every pattern you have, every reaction that frustrates you, every way you show up in relationships that you wish were different, was an intelligent response to an environment that required it. It was not a character flaw. It was not weakness. It was survival. When you can see your patterns through that lens, not as evidence of what is wrong with you, but as evidence of what you had to adapt to, something begins to shift. Not immediately, not completely, but something. The second step is to locate the wound in your body, not to analyze it, not to explain it, simply to notice. Where do I feel this? What is the physical sensation that accompanies this pattern when it activates? That sensation is the door. Everything that genuinely heals, breathwork, somatic therapy, body-based practices, enters through that door. The third step is to stop trying to heal alone. The wound was a relational injury. It happened in relationship. It heals in relationship. You need to be seen, accurately, warmly, without the projection of the original wound, by another person or a community that can hold what you are carrying. The generational wound is real. It travels through families in ways that science is only beginning to fully understand. And it has been running in the background of your life, your relationships, your reactions, your relationship with yourself, for longer than you know. But here is what I want you to take from today. The pattern is not you. The wound is not your identity. It is something that happened to your family, traveling through time, that arrived in your body before you had any say in the matter. And it can stop with you, not through force, not through willpower, but through the slow, patient, embodied work of actually healing, not just understanding. If this landed for you, subscribe. Next week, we go deeper into the specific wounds and how to identify which one is running most of your life right now. This is Soul Decoded, and you now have more of the map.